My name is Ron LeBlanc, and I'm an international gem hunter. My partner Diane and I explore the world looking for gemstones, and this is the story. I got to tell you this story of the brown elephant, the big brown elephant, the bull brown elephant, the sad brown elephant. Anyways, we're in Savro Park, and when I got in Savro Park, at the Savro Park Lodge, we were staying there 2 or 3 days. The kids had already been out in safari, and I was hanging there, and I was still kind of ill, and so we were going to do our bye there, right inside the park. And so there was a big, big, beautiful place. We had all done in stone and logs, and it was really quite wonderful. All open, except for the sleeping quarters, which was on one end, and then all this grandiose kind of architecture, park-like stuff, big stuff, stone, and then there was a restaurant on one end, and in the middle was kind of a viewing area in which all banks of seating were long, and this was 20, 30 yards long, 30 yards long, perhaps. And over this whole thing was kind of cantilevered a slight bit over the hill, and down the hill, maybe 100 yards in front of us, was a watering hole. And of course, this was placed and fed by water as well by the lodge. And so any watering hole is the place, of course, of all these wonderful animals. And so they would all come to the watering hole, and we would sit in this viewing, hanging over the ledge there, or sit down and watch all these wonderful animals show up. And of course, they had zebras coming, and they had elands coming, and they had water buck coming, and they had water buffalo, the bully. Comes in the big water buffalo, everything runs. And they had crazy little bad, naughty baboons hopping around, running around, swatting at the big birds. And the big birds are tough too. And it was really kind of a wonderful, wonderful sort of zoo, a Jungle Book story. And it was a plain, and then beyond that plain was a kind of a sort of thin acacia forest, right? That beautiful wood that we make everything out of, very diverse. And every time anyone was around the water hole, there would be kind of a truce among the herbivores, of course, and the cats weren't there. But there's kind of a truce around there, and everybody says, this is essential water, and for the moment, I'll bug you later, but right now, let's enjoy a little water. And there was new water on the plain. It had just rained, so all the browns had turned to green, and all the grasses are come up, so everybody's happy and going drinking water. And then there would become the families of elephants would come by. And beyond the trees, we'd actually saw giraffes, my favorite, big long neck. But anyways, the families in different sizes. Sometimes there's mother and daddy and the little one, and then sometimes there's 8 or 10. 10 would come, and they were all brown. And of course, the earth is kind of red. I don't know what that has to do with it, but they're really brown elephants, and very, very beautiful in all kinds of configurations. And they were sort of, when they walk up, everybody goes, woo, here comes the real king of the jungle. These are really things that would take on anything. And what happened is, around there, they would always, whenever there was a new species, and they were drinking together quite often, but they would also, like the giraffe would have not the giraffe, but the zebras. And the zebras are funny. They hop around, and they're kind of curious little horses. They look very animated. They hop when they go, and they got their big butts are swinging there, and their heads are going up and down. They're quite a remarkable kind of animal, and beautiful. Well, I'll tell you, I love those. I really love those zebras. Now, these zebras aren't black and white as such. I think they're more like a lovely tan honey with a black stripe. A really, really beautiful animal. And they prance and bounce along. Anyways, and another thing that all these animals do is very curious, is they set sentinels back from the water hole, facing towards the longer grasses and the forest. And they're listening for the rustle of the cats, because the cats are the ones that are really the predators. And all these animals around are really herbivores, right? And so the water bucks do it, the elands do it, the zebras do it, and everybody's watching in case the big cats come for lunch. Anyways, that's kind of wonderful. Anyways, so all this is happening all day long, and it's quite wonderful. We're watching it, and it's just grand. It's like looking at the great, big, wonderful jungle, looking at in some ways, the Garden of Eden. You know, it's just great. And of course, in these animals, how they've learned to live with each other around the water hole. I think humans could really learn from that. And secondly, they could learn from the empathy into their environment and how you survive in the jungle in a literal and a metaphorical sense. I think there's lots of beautiful lessons there. Anyway, so the end of the day is happening, and the last people at the water hole are these iterations of elephant families. And then they go off, and it's getting later in the afternoon, and I'm sort of wandering, and I'm looking up and down, and everybody's come in from the safaris. They're all sitting along those benches, maybe 20 people, and I'm standing at the edge of one of the booths, and I'm looking out at the watering hole, and as if it almost appeared out of nowhere, I see this majestic bull brown elephant, huge all by himself, big animal, big, long tusks pushing on past his trunk. And it's walking to the hole and looks around the hole a little bit and is drinking some water. And I can see it looking back at the back end of other animals. And I'm going, oh my God, what is this about? And where is he about? And I'm kind of intrigued because he's all by himself. And the waiter comes up to me and he says to me, oh my God, you know what you're seeing there is you're seeing the most dangerous animal in the world right now. He's at the top of his power, but some young bull in collusion has knocked him off the perch, knocked the king out of off his throne. And now he can never go back or never have another family, and he's going to die of sadness and loneliness. And he's very, very angry. And, you know, it takes 3 or 4 or 5, don't quote me, you know, the real king of the jungle is not the lion. It's these bull mooses. Bull moose. I'm from Canada. These bull elephants, sorry. Anyways, it takes 3 or 4 of them just to take him down, but his sadness, his loneliness will drag him down. And I'm watching this, and I'm looking at it, and I'm following him, and I'm kind of feeling really, really bad for him. I'm better than a bull moose. I've been kicked out of a few things myself to wander the plains. Anyways, and Diane's done it twice last year. Anyway, so I'm kind of following him, looking around, and he seems to disappear. You know, he kind of disappear into the ground as he heads towards the acacia. You know, and it's like some golem or something. He's back into the earth, and he goes away. And I turn around as I'm watching, just as he's disappearing, just before the forest, and I turn around, and everybody, and this is another sad story, and this is a story that's even more horrific. Everybody's on their smartphones. Nobody's looking at this nature. Nobody's looking at the Garden of Eden. No one's looking at what's going on. You know, and they're all on their phones. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but I thought, oh my God, where have we lost it? And that's another reason why I want people to be encouraged to go out there and have their journeys and have their story, make their stories, fill themselves up so they're never, and maybe leave that damn phone down at least for a moment or two. What have we become? You know, because if you were, and they're not looking for the predators outside themselves. What if there's a predator rolling around? No one's noticing. They're down on their phones, walking into cars, walking into evil creatures. Anyways, that was the real horror, but the poor brown elephant. And for all us brown elephants out there, well, I guess we've had it pretty good so far.